Welcome to this explainer. Imagine this. It's 3 a.m. Your pagers are finally quiet, and a massive Priority 1 outage has just been resolved. But now comes the really hard part, writing the incident post-mortem. Today, we're running a rigorous head-to-head engineering shootout to see which AI model is actually better at writing IT incident reports, Anthropic's Claude or OpenAI's ChatGPT. We're going to dig into the data, the outputs, and the workflows to help you make an informed choice for your team.
But before we even look at the tools, we've got to establish the gold standard. As the Google Site Reliability Engineering Handbook tells us, postmortems are the bedrock of a team's credibility, and blame entirely ruins that trust. If engineers think admitting a mistake leads to punishment, they're just going to hide the details. We need our AI to uphold this critical, blameless culture.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll cover why postmortem quality matters, set up our scenario, evaluate Claude, evaluate ChatGPT, and then give you the final verdict. Starting with why post-mortem quality matters. Let's talk about the stakes here. You see, a really mature incident management practice turns chaotic outages into actionable data goldmines. An AI-assisted workflow can ingest massive amounts of unstructured data from Slack and system alerts, shrinking your incident turnaround from weeks down to literally minutes. But remember, the AI is your co-pilot, not an autopilot. It's up to us to ensure it maintains that neutral, blameless culture. Moving on to Section 2. Our scenario? The API outage. To really benchmark these models, we needed a tangible, high-stakes incident. So we're using a simulated 45-minute API outage that completely affected payment processing. Imagine the scene. Alerts triggering at minute 0, a frantic war room assembled by minute 15, temporary mitigations applied at 30, and finally resolution at 45. We use this messy, dense timeline as the exact raw data input for both AI systems. Our prompting strategy was super straightforward, mimicking exactly what a senior SRE would do in a crisis. Step 1. Input those unstructured, chaotic Slack logs. Step 2. Demand the output strictly follows the standard Google SRE JSON format. And Step 3. Enforce a strict blameless tone. We fed this exact prompt to both models. All right, Section 3. Let's look at Claude's incident report. Right off the bat, Claude's architecture gives it a huge advantage for SRE workflows. It boasts a massive 200,000-plus token context window. What that means for you is it effortlessly ingests those dense, unstructured war room transcripts all at once without losing any context halfway through. It understands the entire narrative. When you compare the raw, panicked-filled input full of scattered timestamps to Claude's root cause analysis, the difference is night and day. Claude processes the chaos into a deeply reasoned narrative. It uses varied sense lengths and an editorial tone, avoiding generic buzzwords and actually framing the failure as a systemic vulnerability rather than just a quick glitch. And here is where Claude literally hits the nail on the head. Blameless translation. Say a stressed developer types, "Engineer X deployed a buggy change." Claude seamlessly translates that finger-pointing into a constructive, system-level observation, writing something like, "The CI/CD pipeline did not catch the bug." That subtle shift is absolutely crucial for maintaining trust on your team. So, summarizing Claude, it is fantastic at deep reasoning, context retention, and nailing that empathetic, blameless tone. It also has a noticeably lower hallucination rate, often flagging its own uncertainty instead of making things up. The trade-offs? It's a bit slower, and it definitely has a smaller integration ecosystem compared to its rivals. Pivoting to Section 4, let's see how ChatGPT handled the exact same outage. Looking at the executive summaries, the contrast is pretty stark. ChatGPT's output is distinctly more rigid and highly structured, relying heavily on bullet points. It definitely has that recognizable ChatGPT voice. For a quick glance, it's great, but it really lacks the narrative flow that helps stakeholders truly understand the nuance of what went wrong. Moving on to the action items, ChatGPT is incredibly obedient and lightning fast at formatting to our strict JSON schema. However, its action items often feel very template-driven and literal. It gives you things like improve monitoring, which is fine, but it misses the nuanced, specific technical insights that Claude managed to pull from the exact same data. To sum up ChatGPT, it is an absolute powerhouse for blistering generation speed and flawless formatting adherence. Plus, it has a massive integration and plugin ecosystem. But you have to watch out for that robotic prose and a higher risk of plausible but totally unverified stats. You're definitely going to need a heavier QA review before passing its reports up the chain. Which brings us to Section 5, the final verdict. When we lay out our criteria-based scorecard, a really clear distinction emerges. For stakeholder tone, hallucination safety, and managing massive context windows, Claude is the undeniable winner. But if you need raw structure and formatting, especially for automated data pipelines, ChatGPT absolutely takes the crown. So here's the real takeaway. The whole pick one mentality, it's completely outdated. The smartest engineering teams aren't choosing between them. They're routing those deep, narrative root cause analysis to Claude and using ChatGPT as the engine for high-speed, automated alerting and formatting workflows. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. As you integrate these powerful models into your workflow to save hours of administrative toil, ask yourself, if an AI is drafting the post-mortem for your next critical outage, who really owns the system's reliability? AI is a fantastic co-pilot, but human accountability absolutely has to remain at the core of your engineering culture. Thanks for tuning in.